This podcast is a part of the Podmania podcasting network. Check out podmania.co.uk to check out more of our great podcasts, features, reviews, match ratings and previews spanning the crazy and diverse world of professional wrestling. And welcome to another episode of the Stardom Cast, your monthly audio source of all things world wondering stardom. I'm your host, Rob Goodname, joined as ever on these things by Chris O'Brien. How are you, my friend?
Fine.
Cool. Well, that's the stuff that people tune in for. The witty banter. Is that it? Just fine. Nothing going on in your life.
I tidied my room today.
Fucking hell, mate! You are giving me nothing today.
I don't know why it's this because there's been so much wrestling, and in the middle of that we have to watch a 2019 TNA show, which has been fun for the both of us. I don't understand Garth. He is a man, but also an enigma because he will find something small in a New Japan match and say that it's the worst thing ever. He gave fucking I'm pretty sure he gave Hiromu versus Ospreay from Wrestle Kingdom a failing grade.
I don't think he did. I think he gave it a 6.
Ah, right, okay, but yeah. But then, we're doing the TNA show, and he's saying this Asylum match is an 8 out of 10, and I'm like, I don't understand. What do you like?
I don't understand you, Garth. Teach me your ways.
Well, I think because I don't understand. With you, I can sort of watch a match and sort of gauge whether or not you'd like it. But then I watch a match that Garth likes, and I'm like, this is just like a match you said you hated. I don't understand you.
Just to clarify, on the flagship Podmania podcast, we are doing a TNA Hard Justice 2009 retro review, and me and Chris are in varying stages of watching it.
It's hard watching.
It's
I don't know who went through more punishment, Mick Foley or me, for the 3 hours of my life. I will never get back. I was slightly disappointed going into this because we're going to do the thing I did with ECW. I watched a couple weeks of TV leading into it. I'm so glad they're not on Plus because Jesus Christ, if pay-per-views meant to be your the best thing, and I can only imagine what weekly TV would be like. But I know what weekly TV is like because it was free on Bravo. So I was watching it at the time. God knows how I love wrestling as much as I do now.
Yeah, it's amazing that you've come through the other side of Impact to find other wrestling. But there we are. So it's been a fucking busy time for wrestling, as you mentioned, and that's just for Stardom, taking out with account, All Japan's show and New Japan's relentless summer struggle tour, which seems to just be every fucking day.
And I'm not here for it. I've not watched any of the summer struggle stuff.
I've watched none. I've heard great things about the Suzuki and Nagata match.
Yeah, I feel like people like Suzuki, Nagata, and Shingo are going to be getting New Japan goodwill they just don't deserve right now.
Well, I am going to watch that main event. Like I said, nothing else has really sort of pipped my interest for New Japan. I'll watch the Jinju show on the 29th, I believe, of this month. But yeah,
the only watch you want to see Takahashi versus Ishimori again.
That I'm not gonna lie, that match is my jam. I cannot fucking wait for that match.
I think what's weird is I saw people going, well, New Japan's coming up Corona, so you need to give them leeway. And then I'm looking at All Japan, DDT, Noah, and Stardom, who are seemingly all firing on all cylinders right now, like all of them putting on like great main events along with solid undercards, and I'm like, what the fuck is New Japan's excuse? They have more money, more resources, could, in theory, sign anyone they wanted, and this is like what they're doing now is apparently the best they can do.
I mean, we've talked about this before. I don't hate it as much as you do. I think give it enough time. I think the fact that they're pushing Evil as a single star is great.
It's either that. I think like what we're having now is sort of like the crux of all of New Japan's problems coming together. Because right now the tag division is one of the best parts of it, and that should never. And in New Japan, that's never a good sign. Like, it's not just that. I don't think I'd mind Evil as champion if I didn't make him go half an hour. And I get that's not Evil's fault, which is why I'm talking about how New Japan sucks and not Evil.
Yeah, it's not just that. There was, unless they are going to do something with Jay White, which, you know, it sounds like they are. I don't really understand why Evil was made part of the Bullet Club. You know, unless you are of the very valid opinion that the Japanese leader of Bullet Club should in no fucking way be Yujiro Takahashi.
I mean, yeah. I don't know, it just feels like they're trying their hardest to sort of keep the faction they wanted to hold the championship and have them hold the championship without any thought of who would be holding it. It's weird. Listen to Puromania later this month if you want that, where we'll be covering the good Puro along with New Japan's.
I'll give them till the Jinju show will. Is it Jinji? The stadium show.
I'm actually not sure.
Well, I'm sure it'll be great. And we'll be singing their praises once again. However, when it comes to Stardom, we've had just an absolute barrage of not only information, but we've had 3 shows in the space of a very, very short amount of time. We apologise. This was originally supposed to be a Wednesday podcast almost a week ago, but they hadn't finished uploading the Korakuen show, so we couldn't do the podcast.
I think my prediction on why that happened was correct. Did you know if it was up like straight right as the first game?
Yeah, I think that probably was what it was. And then, yeah, it was supposed to be Sunday, but I had other things, unfortunately, so we've ended up doing it tonight, so better late than never.
This is meant to start at 8. We started at 9:20.
So, what is on the agenda for the Stardom cast today? We're going to run through the 3 shows that we had, the Cinderella Summer shows in Osaka, Nagoya, and then, of course, in Tokyo at Korakuen Hall. We'll then run through the announced card for Cinderella in Yokohama, the brand new show that will be taking place on the 22nd and the 23rd at Yokohama Budokan, and then we'll preview the 5-star, which starts as we are recording on Saturday. So we'll give all our thoughts about that. Before we delve into it, Chris, we are going to just quickly whip through some of the undercard matches, especially on the Osaka show, because, aside from the 2 main matches, the tag match and then the Artist of Stardom title match, not a lot of importance happened. And to a similar extent, Nagoya, we are obviously going to go into more detail of the semi-main and the main event, but that's how we're going to do those. And then we'll go into detail of all the matches at Korakuen. So, Chris, let's delve into Cinderella Summer in Osaka from the 23rd of July. Edion Arena, Osaka, and 276 people in attendance. So, again, I'm just going to whip through these first 3 matches. We started with Death Yamasan defeating Azumi in 3 minutes and 49 seconds, which is a slightly surprising win, but I suppose if we're thinking long term, we're setting up challenges if Azumi were to take the belt, in theory, at Korakuen Hall, though I'm sure anybody that's listening to this will already know the results of Korakuen Hall. In the second match, we had the Queen's Quest team of Utami and Momo defeat the Stars team of Starlight Kid and Saya Ida in 10 minutes and 58 seconds, with Utami hitting a bridging German suplex. Match 3, we have brand new Stardom signee Himika in her first singles match, defeating Saya Kamitani in 8 minutes and 23 with a running powerbomb. This apparently was so dangerous or such an impactful move that it actually warranted a replay, which I don't think I've ever seen on a Stardom show. I'll be perfectly honest. Chris, have you ever seen a replay?
To be honest, if it's ever happened, I've not thought the need to commit it to memory.
It was so strange because Himika pinned Saya, and then rather than, the typical Himika stance with a hand raised by the referee and we get the cool little graphic at the bottom, we jumped straight into a replay. It was like, this never fucking happens. What is this?
I wish we like they did in like WCW versus NWO Revenge, where it was like it's like 3 times just before Impact.
I must admit, we've obviously spoken about how I wonder how Himika's going to be in singles action. I was very impressed with Himika. She's only going to get better. She's had 2 years in-ring experience, as we spoke about in the last episode, so she's only going to get better. Looked really solid here. And I imagine she's going to be one that the 5-star is going to benefit massively. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to more there.
She was grand. She strikes me as someone who's not going to put on something blow away unless she's with, like, a May or a Tam. But, like, as a sort of presence, like, Bad Luck Fale presence in 5-star, you could do a lot worse than Himika. I
must admit, something I've picked up from the Donna Del Mondo multi-women matches is that Himika she's found her place in that stable very, very quickly.
Yeah. Oh, to be fair, it's sort of like obvious just from looking at it, like, because she's, in terms of like just build, she's tall, and she, like, so there's people as tall as her, people as like stocky as her, but there's no one who's both. So, like, in terms of that mode, it's like obvious you're now the monster. Kill them.
Yeah, and like I said, I think she plays that really, really well. She's got great expression in her eyes. I know that's a really weird thing to say, but
but it's sort of the same thing as sort of Jungle Kiona. She has that as well, where like from how her eyes are positioned, you can sort of tell what she's thinking.
Jungle Kiona has had a ride and a fucking half over these 3 shows. We'll delve into that.
Oh, fucking tell me about it. I have things to say.
So then we move into the semi-main, which was the Tokyo Cyber Squad team of Jungle Kiona and Konami defeating the Stars team of Mayu Iwatani and Tam Nakano in 14 minutes and 23. This was notable for 2 things. Well, 3 things, technically. The first, it was a great match. The second was that Mayu cut the most unintentionally hilarious pre-match promo by just shouting, "Good evening," and it was 11 a.m., which was just...
which has been memed to death.
Just absolutely amazing. Well done, Stardom fan community. Well done.
I kind of love that. I kind of love how it's just the instinct where she's like, "Good evening," and I like how the translator did not need to point that out.
In brackets, like, it's 11 a.m.
Of anything else, like, so many people in politics, like, nowadays, not naming names, but like, why don't we do that with like literally anyone else? I wish I could just have that in real life. It's like, Callum, did you eat my last bag of crisps? No, he lied.
Just subtitle your life.
No, just subtitle. He did.
And then obviously the most important thing to take from this was that Jungle got a clean win over Mayu Iwatani in 20 minutes and 1 second with a Jungle Buster. Chris, before you give your 2 cents on this match, there's just a couple of things I want to say. The first thing is that Jungle looked fucking imperious throughout this entire match. There was a presence around her, and it was something that unfortunately she didn't have the next night, and obviously she had something completely different once we get to Korakuen, and I'll get into that. But you always feel like with Jungle, she's the nearly person. You know, she's almost there, but she just gets ripped away. And when I first watched Stardom, or when I was first getting into Stardom, you made the comparison, Chris, of Jungle Kiona being the Tomohiro Ishii. Always a solid matches, often outstanding matches, but never quite given the chance to run with those top belts, and that's certainly been the case for Jungle. It's just here, I don't know, there was a fierce focus in Jungle, and then she had that post match sort of promo where she was being basically a dick to Mayu, which was great. It really, really suited her. It's just a shame that ultimately all of this would be in vain. I mean, they did telegraph it. They're not going to have Mayu lose on back-to-back shows, but it's still quite a surprise to have your champion pinned clean.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming. I watched the Jungle versus Mayu match before I watched this one, and I still didn't see it coming. I think in terms of the imperiousness, it's easier to act tough when you're backed up by your best mate with two in a tag match. When you have backup, you can be harder, and when there's less pressure, there's absolutely no pressure in this match. She has the title match either way. And in terms of an environment, she was tag champ for most of last year, so this is an environment she's more used to.
Mm.
She often picks up big, she pinned Kagetsu in Kagetsu's last match. Well, then Kagetsu came back for one more match. It was weird. But yeah, pin Kagetsu in the last match with this move and pin Mayu here, so it makes complete sense. And to be fair, this match was fucking great.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think it's set up, anyone that watches Stardom on a regular basis was already excited for the prospect of Jungle versus Mayu in Nagoya. But for those that weren't, this match certainly hyped that, because all four competitors in this match, Konami and Tam Nakano included, really added something. But it was a case of Jungle needed to prove to Mayu, not that she was a worthy challenger, Mayu knew she was a worthy challenger, but to prove that she had that killer instinct that quite a few people have said that she lacks when it comes to those important matches. And here she could quite easily have been the champion. If I was tuning into that match halfway through and I didn't know who the World of Stardom champion was, I'd have instantly thought Jungle, because in this match, I don't know what it was. I can't put my finger on it. As I said, she was imperious as fuck, and she felt like a champion in this match.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and I think one thing that's worth knowing about this match is a fairly standard Stardom tag main event. This sounds like a put down, but it's not. I rate this match fairly highly. I think that just plays into the main event tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. I gave it a 7.
I give it an 8. I love this match. I completely I think some of the tag matches, Mayu holding on to, I think it was Konami, and then Tam kicking her over. Loved that. Just match never stopped. Loved it.
Yeah. Okay, I'm more than happy to give it an 8, mate. More than happy. So we move on to the main event of the night, the only championship match of the night in Osaka, and it was the Artists of Stardom Championship match, with the champions Donna Del Mondo retaining over Oedo Tai in 15 minutes and 54 seconds with a Julia driver. Chris, first, before we get into the crux of the match and your opinion and things like that, we had some lovely pre-match promos. I say pre-match promo. We had a pre-match promo because apparently Oedo Tai's new way of being cool is to stop giving pre-match promos. Syuri just descending into absolute fucking madness and claiming unrequited love to the belt, and the belt apparently has the same mutual love. It was just, and you could just see Julia and Micah going, what the fuck is going on with you? But she's fast becoming, like I said last episode, Syuri quickly is becoming one of my favourite things about Stardom. I think she's great. I think she's so quirky, yet when it comes to being an absolute fucking badass, as she is in Nagoya, she manages to transition between the two effortlessly, and it doesn't feel jarring.
Well, yeah, and there's only a few people I can think who does that, Tommaso Ciampa goes from scary psychopath to stroking the belt kind of thing. It's not like that. They're totally different personas, but in terms of love of a belt, yeah. gone a long way from when we were arguing who gets what belts.
No, I agree.
And the same with this promo when I'm thinking this match, to be honest, because like for me, this didn't feel any markedly different from the other DDM versus a Wedatai match, apart from Mike is in there instead of Himeka, and that brings like natural differences. But like overall, I just didn't feel any difference. I just felt it was the same sort of level of quality.
Well, you're not right, because there was one big difference, Chris, and that is that Saki has darker hair now. So sit down. No, I think it does suit her heel persona, and I must admit, much as I say like, oh, Saki's pretty one-dimensional, she's good in ring, but has nothing about her. I thought she was the MVP of this match. She took all of the heat from Donna Del Mondo, and she did 75-80% of the heavy lifting when it came to the offense as well. In regard to what you said, Chris, yeah, it was relatively... I don't know what it is. I feel like we've seen Oida Tai versus Donna Del Mondo so fucking much. I don't think it helps that there are only 3 of Oida Tai, so it's the same pairing as well.
It's one of the few things I give people slack for when it comes to Corona booking, because like Oida Tai have literally... Like, the shift after Kagetsu and Hazuki left was, okay, we're going to be like very gaijin heavy things. We're going to have Priestley, we're going to have Hater, we're going to have Session Moth, and that will be the bulk of our faction, which works unless there's an international pandemic that prevents travel. So, yeah, I do feel for Oida Tai right now, because they can't change out for each thing. Sumire feels a bit lost without Session Moth, if I'm being honest, which is weird because Session Moth normally gets her lost. And yeah, Saki's good, but she's never the most interesting part of a feud. And Natsuko Tora, she needs a really good babyface to bounce off of, and DDM just aren't that. How
do I put this? I agree. Like, no, let's not mince words. No one could have foreseen the pandemic. So, sticking B. Priestley in there is actually a great shout, because B. Priestley is, as she's proved, by running with the World of Stardom Championship, she is a main eventer. No one could have foreseen that, but I feel like you could... They need to be doing something else. I feel like every Tora singles match, and admittedly I've only seen 2, 3, since the pandemic, but I feel like they've all been the same. I feel like every single Oida Tai 6-1-1 or every single Oida Tai tag team match is exactly the same. We get jumped before the bell. We get Natsu doing the sexy Bronco Buster. We get the whip. We get the chain on top of the person and a frog splash onto it, which I still don't understand. We get that fucking bucket, which I still... Can someone on Facebook, Twitter, in our Discord, can you please explain what it is? Because when you are hit with it, it doesn't sound like it hurts. I can't quite see what is on it, and they only bring it to the ring. There's nothing in it, because Natsu brings her whip to the ring. So I don't understand what is it. I'm all for bringing props to the ring. I think it works. I like Natsu's chain, apart from when she's putting it on someone and then frog splashing onto it, which I still don't understand as a move or a concept. But I don't understand what that... Though there was one really, really, really fucking funny moment, and I can't remember if it was in this match or a match later on, where they just... I think it's Nagoya, where Natsu puts it down the middle of the ring, and Saki just belts it into the face of someone who's lying down. That was hilarious. That was really, really good. And it's stuff like that. Just be inventive. Natsu... I love Natsu. I think she's great. She's such an amazing character, and genuinely, when she's on the microphone, she's absolutely brilliant. But she wrestles the exact same match every time, and that's not a knock on Natsu. She is a lower mid-carder. She doesn't need to consistently do these different matches, but it feels like the only one who I feel is doing anything differently, the one who's evolving in any sort of way, is Saki. And, we had callbacks to the previous match where Saki reversed the... was playing possum and went for the roll-up that had, previously pinned Julie. So we did have those callbacks. But I don't know. I don't know what it is. I want to like Oida Tai. But I don't know if it's because I liked Oida time when it was Kagetsu and Azuki. I don't know, but I can't get into them. Like, this was fine. On the face of it, this was fine. It was 6 stars. I actually thought it was a little bit better than their previous encounter.
Well, Stakes adds that.
Yeah, Stakes adds that. Again, just the slight evolution, like, of Saki, the callbacks to the previous match. It all came together to add something, but it wasn't blow away. And to be perfectly honest, if you haven't watched it, don't. It's not worth going back and watching. They just... As the de facto heel group, things that make you a heel, top of that list is certainly not posing for a photograph at the start or looking bored as fuck.
I think broadly in wrestling, there's people who are better as opponents and people who are better as the star. And currently, Oedo Tai doesn't really have that star. Like, I'm not saying it can't develop, but right now, like Natsuko Tora, Natsu Sumire, Saki Kashima, there's someone who's better for someone like May or Tam to overcome. Whereas, like, in Donna Del Mondo, I think it's the opposite of a problem where, like, everyone likes... Well, apart from me, I still don't like Julia that much. But, like, everyone likes everyone in Donna Del Mondo, so they're all sort of stars, and everyone will be happy with them being in title programs, whereas here, like, these... Oedo Tai feel like filler defenses right now if they went up against a champion.
How do you fix Oedo Tai? Assuming that the worst happens and B and Jamie are out for the rest of the year, which, horrible as it sounds, it looks like they might be. Assuming they aren't back, how do you save Oedo Tai? Do you have another person join them? Do you have someone just turn inexplicably heel just so that there's something fresh? Do you just have them wrestle a different match? I don't know how you stop them being the same bland, boring heel, and that's what it is. I think I just find them boring, and that's the worst thing. And I know I've said this on the last 3 podcasts, and I apologise for people that listen to this on a monthly basis and just are sick of me ragging on Oedo Tai. As 3 singles competitors, Tora, Sumire, Saki, I like them. But they've done nothing at all that has impressed me here. Nothing. What do you do, Chris?
I don't know. I think mostly they sort of need fleshed out away from each other. Like, even though people are teaming most of the time, like, say earlier when we had Momo versus Utami, we know who they are outside of this team dynamic. Whereas apart from Tora, really, everyone's not had chance to away from that, and like we'll get into it when we go on to the Korakuen show, but like Saki Kashima showed like a decent amount of personality in the singles match she had with Rina. So I literally do just think we need time away from each other to work out who they are, and like that sounds like it's a relationship. But
I just need time away.
Yeah, like if we go no. But no, I think like if they can develop who they are, because that's the thing, when we've seen glimpses like when Tora gets his singles match, like there's something there. I think she just needs to flash this out, and I think the 5-star could be that for her. So I think we should hold judgment on Oedo Tai fully until after the 5-star.
Okay, fair enough. We will do them. So in that case, Chris, let's. Oh, by the way, I gave that 6. What did you give it?
I gave it 6. It's basically the same, but with stakes.
Yeah, exactly. So let's move on then to the 24th of July, the next show, which was the STARDOM Cinderella Summer in Nagoya show. This was obviously from the Nagoya International Conference Hall in front of 339 people. So those attendances, Chris, are steadily going up just by a couple each time. So how do you feel about that?
Isn't Antoine case is still rising in Japan? I'm still a bit skeevy about wrestling going on at all, but I'm not beyond hosting a podcast. I don't know. I'm not informed enough on Japanese corona. I'm just focused on Glasgow being fucked right now. So,
well, I did see a stat that said Glasgow is the most affected area in Scotland, with numbers of 3 in 100,000. Which, I'm not going to lie, mate, that doesn't sound earth-shattering.
It doesn't, but when you realise they can pass on, I don't know. I just see the headline, outbreak in Glasgow, and I thought I would just hide and cry for about an hour.
Yeah. No, I get it, man. I was only joking. So again, let's just fire through these first couple of matches. So we opened up with Konami defeating Saya Ida with a buzzsaw kick at 7 minutes and 34 seconds. A really, really aggressive Konami, which I think is really important when we consider the Korakuen show later. We had a triple threat high speed match with Saki Kashima, Death Yamasan, and Starlight Kid. With Starlight Kid winning with a Kichan bomb in 4 minutes and 59 seconds. I like Saki Kashima in that sort of division. I think that should be her niche. And we have seen Saki more over the last couple of months in that sort of arena. So it would be nice to see that more.
He's had high-speed title shots before, so...
Well, there you go. I think that should be her niche, especially for now until everything is settled down. And the tag titles, why not? So we then got on to the third match, which was Tam Nakano and Riho teaming against Oida Tai, obviously Natsukatora and Natsu Samiya, with a DQ finish, because that's what we need. Tora basically goes spare and hits people with a chair at 10 minutes and 3 seconds. Chris, at least it was different.
Yeah, apart from Natsu keeps getting herself disqualified.
Yeah, I'm not gonna talk about it. I've said my piece on Oida Tai. Let's move on. So we then go on to the semi-main event, which was an 8-woman tag match with Donna Del Mondo, Julia Himeka, Maika, and Syuri, and Queen's Quest, Azumi, Momo Watanabe, Saya Kamitana, and Utami Hayashishita fighting to a time limit draw of 30 minutes. Now, Chris, I know you have thoughts on this, so let me go first, and then I'll throw it to you. All right? All right. So, first of all, I absolutely love this match. I thought it was great. I thought you had a real intensity in those last 5 minutes as they realised that time was running out. I think everyone paired off into absolutely phenomenal feuds. Feuds that I would absolutely want to see. Azumi with any number of them. Speaking of Azumi, I thought she was great. She did wonderful, which I know she does all the time, but it just looks so cool. The top rope Hurricane Rana arm drag combo, I thought that was amazing. They'd worked Himeka's legs so that, there was that sort of story, that sort of chopping down the giant. You got Syuri and Momo literally trying to kill each other, which is always fun to watch. It was a really, really, really good match. The ending saw Syuri look to break Momo's arm, but as the time limit expires, Azumi just belts her one in the face, which was great. I honestly think that this is the best undercard tag in my time watching Stardom. There was intensity, there was fire. Every single person, which can be hard with 8 people in the ring. Every single person felt like they meant something. Every single person felt like they had something to do. No one was spare. My only issue, and it's a relatively big issue, I'm not going to lie, is why would you put a really intense 30-minute time limit draw that had the crowd excited, as excited as they are allowed to be at a Japanese wrestling show when they're not allowed to shout or scream? Why would you put that before the main event? Where the crowd then, for the main event, are pretty much dead. That for me, it made no sense. I'm not saying don't do the time limit draw. Place it further down the card or put it on put it on a different show. It felt very, very strange to me, because when you then get, after a 30-minute time limit draw, you then get the drama of a title match with the homecoming girl, Jungle Kiona, and that goes 21 minutes, which, conversely didn't feel like it went 21 minutes. I just felt like the entire crowd was drained. I mean, it's literally my only negative about this match. I gave it 9 stars. I thought it was fucking great. I just felt like it really did impact on the match after it. Chris.
It was all right. Like, I'm sort of done with time limit draws right now. Like, we're 3 podcasts back into Stardom being back, and each time we've had a time limit draw, maybe calm that down a bit. Like, you don't want to overuse it, especially going into the Cinderella, not the Cinderella, into the 5-star, where like the short time limit sort of makes draws an eventuality. So I don't know why you'd overuse that device going in, and otherwise, it was fine. Most of the good things you say, I agree with. I didn't like all of the spots. Like, I didn't enjoy the suplex, the multiple people attempting a suplex spot. I think that's stupid. The only good part of that I liked was when Julia tried to go in, and Azumi, instead of automatically going to join in, just kicked Julia out of the way. I did like that. I audibly laughed at that. But otherwise, just the length of it, its placement on the card, you're right. And I think a wrestling match doesn't always have to be critiqued in a vacuum, because this is not remotely at the right time on the card or in the year. Neither unit needed to look strong. This isn't like in the tag match with Utami and Saya taking on Momo and Azumi, where you had to sort of establish Utami and Saya as a tag team without making Azumi or Momo look weak. This had no point to that. Like, I'm not being funny, someone could have taken a pin here, no one would have looked bad. And it would have been a lot shorter, and I would have enjoyed it a lot more.
Pardon me, am I right in thinking that all 8 of these people are in the 5-star?
The 5... all of Donna Del Mondo are in there, and Queen's Quest is Momo, Utami.
Yes, they Zumi, are. Yeah, they are. So,
yeah,
I understand it from that standpoint. You know, you want everyone going in with, you know, as much momentum going forward. You've got 2 very dominant factions. You've got Donna Del Mondo, who management are apparently, you know, not scared of everyone knowing that they want them to be the big thing. You know, they are at the moment the hottest thing in Stardom as far as management are concerned. And you've got Queen's Quest, where you have 2 of the biggest, not necessarily the biggest draws, but certainly people that fans get behind in Momo and Utami. You know, you've got Azumi, who's just going on to win, you know, the high speed, who I know a lot of people like. They are trying to keep both very, very strong. And I do understand, obviously, Saya and Utami will go on to do good things at the Korakuen Hall show. It's a difficult one. Like I said, you know, that aside, I thought this was brilliant. I thought everything worked. Conversely to you, I actually really enjoyed that suplex spot. I'm a real sucker for an 8-man suplex. Always have been. I know it's a bit of a house show thing to do, but fuck it, why not? At no point did this match feel like it dragged, even though, you know, 30 minutes. I did really enjoy that they worked Himika's leg, and then Himika stumbled. I know she probably stumbled by accident, but it played into the match. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, Chris. I know you weren't particularly keen, but I gave it 9, and I'm not willing to hear anything against it.
One else on Facebook. It's like, oh, you have a different opinion? Well, fuck you.
Anyway, moving on to the main event and our World of Stardom Championship match, with Mayu Iwatani defeating Jungle Kiona in 21 minutes and 1 second with the 2-step dragon suplex. This, Chris, is up there with my favourite Stardom matches ever. I knew it would do. They could just go out there and wrestle a match with nothing attached to it, and I would still absolutely love it. But there was so many layers to it that they worked into this match. A simple promo at the start from Mayu and a simple promo at the start from Jungle instantly added just another dimension. You got Jungle Kiona, who said, I think, 4 words, which was, please feel my determination. She's focused, she's ready. You've got Mayu, who's too busy, not necessarily too busy, but busy thinking about the venue, where last time she was in there, she dislocated her elbow. She, you know, links that venue very much with the pain she suffered. You know, she's nervous about that. So will that play into the match? Very, very simple 2-minute opening, and instantly you've got that, okay, will this throw Mayu off a game? And I loved that. I love the simplicity of just adding something like that. I love the fact that, to start with especially, Jungle had a very, very, very clear plan of working the neck. You know, the neck and the shoulder. Mayu's got the shoulder taped up, working the neck and the shoulder, ready for that Jungle Buster. And for about a quarter of the match, Mayu's offense was all reactionary. She was reacting to everything Jungle did. And you can argue that that is because of the nerves felt because of the because of the Nagoya venue. Eventually, Mayu sort of thinks, right, I actually need a plan now, and worked the arm. And this was an example of where a limb match works. Just enough selling, just enough limb work to create, I'm going to say it, fucking masterpiece, Chris.
May pulled off some Jay White bullshit in this match, and I'm here for it. Like, when I say Jay White bullshit, I mean, like, Jay White will take, like, the standard cadence of a New Japan main event and put things you wouldn't... For example, at one point in this match, there's a spot in Stardom where both people, like, put their arms out to grab each other's hair, pull themselves up, and start knocking lumps out of each other. When Jungle put her arm out to do that, May caught it into an armbar and put it and kept switching around in the submission hold. That's great. That's unbelievably great, and I'm unbelievably on board with that. Like, May seemed to try and go move for move with Jungle, which she realized she couldn't do because Jungle's a monster and Mayu isn't.
They have two very different games. Jungle's very power-based, whereas Mayu's very speed-based.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, they made it very clear early on in this match that one of Jungle's moves is worth 3 or 4 of Mayu's.
Yeah, so absolutely.
Mayu had to start playing smart, because she lost to a monster early in the year in Takumi Ohara. And I think this match was sort of showing Mayu learning that lesson. Like, oh, I can't just go move for move. I can't, like, be prideful here. I need to play smart. And then, like, that played into her hands because Jungle hit everything. Like, she hit the Jungle Bomb, the Jungle Buster, went for Hannah's package power driver. And, like, you could see Jungle get more and more and more desperate as the match went on. And that played into May's hands. What I do love is... the package power driver was sort of what led to the ending. Like, that led to the sequence that had Jungle constantly being dragon suplexed. And just, I know the crowd was somewhat dead going into this, but they turned them round. And again, I don't know why they put a half-hour draw where they did. But, like, we managed to turn it around here, and, like, it's because the match was so good in... I wanted Jungle to win more than I wanted my last breath, and it was like, I don't remember the last time I lost myself in a match that much. Like, maybe Naito versus Okada. Like, just sort of like booking wise, I sort of knew they weren't going to throw the belt on Jungle right before the 5-star, but in a random Nagoya show. But on the other hand, I just lost myself in it, so that went out the window.
The thing I loved, one of the things I loved of this match, I've already gushed about how much I loved it, is that once Mayu realised she needed a plan, she adapted. She didn't just wrestle her usual, high-paced, high-speed offense. She wrestled a very, very submission-heavy game here. We had guillotine chokes, we had double wrist locks, we had all sorts of ridiculously, because she is obviously extremely flexible, some ridiculous submission moves, and she changed how Jungle went about her offense as well, because as you mentioned, Chris, she pulled out everything on Mayu, and Mayu kicked out because, as we've known from every Mayu match, she's resilient as fuck. And, that played into that very, very last moment where Jungle took all that energy to fight out of the 2-stage dragon and then sort of went wildly with a lariat. It was almost an instinctive lariat, missed, got caught with another one, and ended up being pinned.
You know what remind me of? Remember in the Tyler Bate versus Walter match last year where Bate kicked out at 1 and then straight away Walter fucking killed him with a lariat?
Yeah, it took everything to do that first kick out. Yeah, I agree. That's a good comparison. Well done, mate. I'm with you, mate. I don't know if I expected a title change here. I think if they were going to do a title change, Jungle Kiona, after everything that's happened, Jungle Kiona in her hometown, they've changed a gear. She looked like a champion again. That match in Osaka, she carried herself differently. This might have been the time, but, going into the 5-star, these 2 nights at the Yokohama Budokan, maybe it wasn't the right time. However, I think there's something going on with Jungle Kiona, Konami, and Tokyo Cyber Squad, which we'll get into very, very shortly, and something that was announced at the Yokohama Budokan show. Overall, Chris, this probably is my favourite Stardom match of this year. I think, for me, this beats out the 9th anniversary show, as in the main event. I loved Mayu versus Momo. Absolutely loved that match. I think it was great. This, for me, with the drama, the added sort of underlying, Mayu having to adapt, Jungle being so focused, it being Jungle's home turf, that progressive sort of descent into desperation. This, for me, was a better match.
I've been battling ever since I watched it whether or not I like this more than the Takumi Horror match. And for me, the best comparison to be made there is like the difference between the Ibushi Okada match and the Ibushi Naito match. Well, like, not the Okada Naito match, where like they're the best of the year in their promotion for 2 very different reasons.
Yeah, with Okada and Ibushi, you had a very, very, very different story than you did with Okada versus Naito. And I think that's similar with Mayu and Momo told a very, very different story because, they could, they weren't going to tell the exact same story here because, extenuating circumstances, the fact that Jungle is from Nagoya, everything that's gone on, the fact that Mayu had, an awful time last time she was in Nagoya, it all built into a completely different story. So, I don't know, I felt connected more to this story than I did to the Momo. I mean, ultimately, there's no difference between the two in reality. They're both absolutely outstanding matches, and I imagine at the end of the year, they'll be 1 and 2 in some manner of order when we come to matches of the year.
I think the Takumi Horror match, love it just because, like, that match did turn a lot of people's heads. Like, some people who don't watch Stardom were like, but saw that the gif of that kick.
You do love that gif. You really do.
But it's like something from Power Rangers.
You do love it so much. You must mention it every single podcast.
Because it's the best thing, and you haven't watched the match yet.
I haven't watched the match yet. I will. I promise I will. So, one of the other things that added to the drama of this match was that post-match promo from Jungle, which is just...
Oh my god,
it's heartbreaking.
I actually have a direct translation here because it fucking got me, man. Jesus Christ. I prepared and trained my hardest to fight Mayo Watani, but I was still useless today.
It was, I think it was that word. I was still useless. Like, oh my god. It's just unbelievable. So bloody hell. You really, no, the most hardened Mayu fan would still have been like, oh my fucking god, that's her, like, just this woman's just entire, like, mentality being crushed to the floor just with that simple phrase. She was clearly really, really cut up about it. Just awful. Absolutely awful. I felt so sorry for her. But like I said, I do have a theory as we move forward. So...
yeah, and then Mayu just got her normal promo.
Mayu's just very, very excited to be there.
Yeah, it's like, I didn't break my elbow this time. It's like, well, Jungle Kiona's in fucking tatters in the corner.
Can you imagine how unlucky Mayu would have been if she'd have broke her elbow again?
Yeah, like just never take it to Nagoya. Actually, there's weird, like there are people who do have like strange, like for example, Kid Lycos of CCK. Every time he was booked to wrestle in Scotland, he'd break his elbow.
I think that might have been an excuse just to get out of Scotland.
I mean, he still went. He still went up to the show and bought merch because I went to both shows he was meant to be at, and then he was just at the table selling merch. He just came up with Chris Brooks. It's ridiculous.
What did you give the match overall, Chris?
Oh, 10. It's again, this would be a horror match, but probably like A and B, and like I can't. It's like 1A and 1B. Can't, not 1 and 2, but sort of equal. Just incredible.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. 10 stars. This was fucking incredible. If you haven't already gone and watched it, please do. It's one of the matches that I would actively encourage you to go back and watch from this first half of Stardom's year. Absolutely sensational. Really, really, really good match. So, Chris, let's move on then. Let's go to the Stardom Cinderella Summer in Tokyo show from the 26th of July from Korakuen Hall in front of 483 people. We started not with a match, but with information that Himeka and Maika are officially signed to Stardom instead of just being freelancers. So I think that's a good bit of business for Stardom.
Yeah, it's good to have your major faction be signed.
Absolutely. Well, you haven't signed Shuri yet.
Yeah, we haven't signed the best member of. I think, to be fair, I think she likes being a freelancer.
Yeah, she's sort of the living the best of both worlds, isn't she? Really?
Yeah. Well, did he? Because like I keep forgetting Suzuki's a freelancer, and then he'll turn up in DDT.
She turns up where the fuck he wants. You try telling Suzuki he's not turning up. The best bit of this, so the little press conference that showed you them signing, was seeing Taka Michinoku dressed up to the nines in this suit and still having that fucking shit hair.
He's had that hair since the fucking 90s.
Is it the fact that it's now got a blonde tip? Is it the worst hair? Is it the worst?
Tak is back, all right. I just think of Mr. Burns every time I see him. I just see him and think, shave or sideburns.
It's just the worst. It's just the worst wig. It really is. Fucking awful. We open then with our first match, Saki Kashima versus Hina. You mentioned when we were going through the Osaka show how Saki showed a little bit of character here. Completely agree with you. She was effectively playing with her food in this match.
Yeah, she was just there going, obviously I'm going to win. Fuck off.
Yeah, so she waited. Then Hina hit a few choice moves, a few hope spots, and Saki was like, fuck this, I've had enough. My emblem at 4:15. She looked, for the first time in this run, she looked like the arrogant heels that Oida Tai are trying to sort of put across. Sort of, I know I'm going to win. Come on, bring it. Come on. And then almost sneering in the face of Hina. And then once Hina sort of, doesn't get on top, she was never thoroughly on top in this match. But once she's given just enough, Saki's like, right, enough of this. My emblem, pinfall. And I really did like that. And if Saki can channel that more, and especially in multi-women tag matches, which is where Oida Tai really do seem to fall apart at the moment, channel that sort of developing sense of self, I'm all for it. But, it went 4 minutes, 15 seconds, so I can't give it a especially high grade. I gave it 4. Still solid.
Yeah, I didn't bother rating it.
Fair enough. We then had a tag team match with the remaining members of Oida Tai, Natsu Katora and Natsu Samiya, taking on the Tokyo Cyber Squad of Death Yamasan and Rina. Chris, opinion of this match?
I have none. It was a nothing match. Everyone acted like they normally do. At the time won. That's basically.
There was one moment. It was this match where Death Yamasan got twatted on the head by that bucket, and a proper just I honestly, I had to pause the match. I was laughing that much. Just proper punted it into her head. It was great. There was one moment where I think it's Tora's coming off the ropes, and Rina tries to stop her by kicking her. So Tora stops and just gives her this look as though to go, "You fucking what?" And that was better than all of the heel antics throughout the rest of the fucking match. That was great. Just that proper... Because, let's face it, Tora is fucking imposing. Use that. Don't come to the ring looking bored as fuck. Bored isn't cool. Bored is bored. You know, you're not going to get a crowd, but yeah, you know, or booing you just because you come to the match like you've had 2 hours sleep. Use that.
Orange Cassidy.
Well, yeah. Orange Cassidy is the obvious exception. Just use that imposing, like, I am going to fuck you up royally if you touch me again. Use that. That's fucking great.
I think that's the thing with the 2 hour matches on this show. Is like both of them show, like Natsu obviously shown what makes her watchable in the other matches, but here like Tora and Saki were two people we've been questioning really. They sort of showed why we should care, and it's like just carry that into matches that don't involve the children. Yeah, exactly. Or if you're in a match with the children, fuck them up. Like, not, you know, not in a horrible, like, not in a brutal way. I'm not thinking fucking big Japan death matches, but like, be imposing, intimidate them. They're 13. Be dickheads. My 8-year-old niece is one of the toughest people I know.
I thought you were going to say one of the rookies at Stardom.
Oh, imagine that. You know what? She'd probably fuck them up.
Natsu Katora, what are you doing? And your niece is like, yeah, what are you going to do? Amazing. I look forward to that feud at the 10th anniversary show.
Sophie.
Tora eventually wins with the frog splash. I gave it 5. You know, it's a short match, no stakes. It was solid enough, and we got something different from a Weeda tie, so I'm clinging to that. So I gave it 5.
I didn't bother rating.
No, I know you didn't. I'm not even going to ask for the next couple of matches, to be honest.
I bothered these ones. Just these opening tag matches. There's nothing.
Fair enough. We then cut to a singles match: Maika versus Momo Watanabe. Momo wants absolutely everyone to know in that opening promo that she, in fact, wanted a shot at the red belt, but ended up in this instead, calling Maika a Utami Hayashishita wannabe, which made me laugh. I think I've got this wannabe, which it made me giggle. It's clear early on that Momo has absolutely no respect for Maika. There's a cocky pin, there's nonchalant kicks, there's none of Momo's like proper pace. She knows she's going to win. She's not breaking a sweat doing it. Maika pulled a weight, definitely, and towards the end, Momo realised she is actually going to have to try in this match. But Momo wanted everyone to know, I am better than being third on the card against the future of Stardom champion.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that she wants to go after the red belt, because in the tag match she was fighting Shuri, and then Shuri challenged May in the next match. Spoilers. So yeah, this is clearly just a way for Momo to get some momentum going into the 5-star, and it was fun though. Like, I like Maika's shtick. She's not experienced enough to put everything together into an amazing match yet. I think the 5-star will help her in that regard. Like, you see so many people get better because of like a G1 or a champion carnival. I think the same will be the case here with Maika and the 5-star. But yeah, a Momo match is never going to be bad in terms of like sheer work rate. She's probably like top 3 in the company.
Oh yeah, definitely. So
yeah, this is great. I like that Momo didn't really need to use her signature offense to beat Maika, sort of showing like Stardom roster is small, but it still has a clear pecking order. And I like how we don't sacrifice that for the sake of making a rookie look good, which a lot of companies just do sometimes for no reason.
Yeah, she ends up winning with diving Samato at 10:39. I give it 6 stars. I enjoyed it. I think Maika, like you said, Chris, I think she is going to be very, very good. She is good now, but she still needs that firm hand in the ring. I think she's a no frills wrestler. and that's going to be great. You know, I look forward to singles matches with Jungle Kiona, with Utami, later down the line when she's had that chance to refine her craft, and I think the 5-star is going to go a long way to helping her do that when you look at who she'll be in the ring with. Mm-hmm. We move on then to a tag team match with the Donna Del Mondo team of Himeka and Syuri defeating the Stars team of Mayu Iwatani and Tam Nakano after... Oh, sorry, not Tam Nakano, Saya Iida. Sorry, he's looking at the match below. Mayu Iwatani and Saya Iida with Syuri pinning Saya after a buzzsaw kick at 13 minutes and 21. First things first, our World of Stardom champion couldn't be bothered to talk in this promo because she was eating.
Is this your champion?
And then she got to the ring, went to throw her wristband into the crowd, misjudged it, and ended up just throwing it aggressively to the floor because it got stuck in her hand, and then she laughed like a goof. I'm not going to lie, Chris, I fucking love her. She's such an affable twat, and I absolutely love it. I think she's great.
She's been turning into... over the course of this reign, she's been turning... Like, you see people sort of change throughout Stardom reign. So, like, I went back and watched a fair bit of Momo's reign, and, like, she became more of a badass throughout her white belt reign. Arisa became a bit more of a psychopath throughout her reign. Maybe she's becoming a dick.
Honestly, she is so lovable. I don't think one person can watch this company and not fall in love with her just because of how much of an affable goof she is. Just, like, honestly, Saya Iida's talking, she's just eating a bag of nuts, just going, and then just in the previous I think it was in the Osaka show where she's supposed to do the stars thing with Tam Nakano when she accidentally says Stardom, just stuff like that. It's no wonder she's my favourite wrestler. She's my spirit animal.
Maybe she's on drugs.
I imagine Mayu on drugs is exactly the same as Mayu normally. Just there'll be no difference whatsoever.
Dude, Blackpool drunk Garth, like wine drunk Garth, is basically Garth.
It's just Garth, but louder. Just louder and slightly more aggressive.
He's still after you, Finn Balor.
Do you want to fight about it? No, Garth, I asked if you wanted to use the shower, mate. What are you doing? Overall, this is another really, really enjoyable match. DDM spent a lot of time, as they are wont to do at the moment, dominating, especially Saya Iida, Himeka especially. It was a bit botchy. There was a moment where Himeka is attempting to get Saya Iida and Mayu Iwatani in the infamous John Cena double AA spot, but she hasn't quite got her arm around Mayu as well. So she's got all of Saya and part of Mayu, and then when she comes off the ropes, Mayu just sort of slides off. But credit where credit is due, Himeka realised that she hadn't got all of it and collapsed to the ground, selling her neck, which I thought was great. You can tell straight away that it was a botch and not part of the storyline, but she had the presence of mind.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you'll notice, like, that what separates people is, like, how, if something goes wrong, how do they react? And she reacted well here. One thing I did know, and, like, it makes complete sense, I'm not gonna be mean to Saya Iida or Himeka, but the moments when Mayu and Shuri were in the ring was so good that, like, whenever someone else was in the ring, I was a bit disappointed.
Let's be honest. I mean, Saya Iida is still very, very young. She was here to eat the pin.
Saya Iida and Himeka are, like, early 20s rookies, and I get that, and that's why I'm not, like, saying this is an overly bad thing about the match, but it's just sort of, I know May and Shuri basically have a title match to build up towards, but they kind of just made the other two look green, which is what they are. But yeah, it just sort of, as soon as it wasn't those two fighting, I didn't want to know, because, like, there's some great fucking, like, the fighting spirit German spot. I'm here for that. I'm never not going to be here for a fighting spirit German spot. Like, I think these two, when they get to that match, are going to have a fucking blinder.
I completely agree with everything you've just said. Just hope that Syuri delivers a slightly tidier looking gutbuster than she did in this match, because fucking hell, that looked rough. But otherwise, as Chris alluded to, post-match, Syuri challenges for the red belt and Mayu accepts. That's being set up for the Yokohama Cinderella Yokohama show at the end of August. There is one thing I wanted to ask, Chris, before I ask for your rating. They shake hands post-match, and Mayu sort of hangs the red belt over their hands, and it stays there. Now, I'm sorry, Chris. Actual physics dictates that should not happen. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the image. It was bandied about on Twitter not so long ago, and it was certainly in some of the Facebook Stardom groups. But someone's like, is Syuri holding it with a thumb? No, there's a thumb. What the fuck is going on? So basically, the only logical explanation for this, and I think I'm right in saying that this is a rational decision, is that Mayu is a wizard.
No, I have a separate theory.
Is it going to be one you'll regret? Is it a mean theory?
No, it's not a mean
Okay,
theory.
you can continue then.
What possible mean theory could be? Anyway, so my thing is I think Suzuki was in the front row and was looking at the belt, and the belt was too scared to fall in case Suzuki got at it.
I didn't realise Suzuki was there. Was he there?
No, I made
Oh, okay. I was just going to say, was he? Anyway, I gave this 6 stars. I think it built very well to the next match. You know, like you've said, I agree with absolutely everything you've said. That stuff, every interaction with Mayu and Syuri was absolutely outstanding. I don't even care that Syuri's loud sort of noises have come back. I think that will be absolutely fantastic, and I really do look forward to that match. I don't think Syuri's taking the belt. I'll be perfectly honest.
Yeah, no, I doubt it.
I'd be very, very surprised if they put the red belt on her before they put it on Julia.
A man can dream.
I gave it 6 stars. Like I say, what did you give it, Chris?
6 out of 10.
Okay. So we then moved on to the High Speed Championship 3-way with Azumi defeating the champion Riho and Starlight Kid in 7 minutes and 10 seconds with the Azumi Sushi. I'll be honest, Chris, it was 7 minutes and it didn't stop. It was great.
Yeah, this is what high speed is, and I can't believe it's taken this long for you to actually see a fucking high speed match. I hate Rio. But yeah, this was great. It just wouldn't stop. Poor referee. Like, he probably put his hip out on this match, the amount of times he had to jump onto the canvas. Like, he probably took more bumps than anyone in this match.
The amount of, especially during those interchangeable pins, it was like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh!
This reminds me of the CM Punk was telling a story about when he was wrestling for an indie fed, and Harley Race was the special referee. And apparently, when him and his opponent were putting the match together, Harley Race went up to him and went, "You know this stuff you do in the indies nowadays? That 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Shit, don't."
Great. I'll be honest, this sort of indicates just how good this match was. We had a triple down in a match that went less than 8 minutes, and it didn't feel out of place.
Also, Rio and Starlight. No, it was Rio. One of the. It's very hard to remember who did won this match. It went too fast to take notes. They did the machine guns bounce double splash thing, and I do like that machine guns offense. It's weird. Like, the closest thing I can actually compare this to is early X Division.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
500,000 miles an hour, but also they're not taking crazy bumps, like literally, like, because that's the style. They just sort of keep rolling up, like no one's taking any crazy bumps, but everyone looks impressive. It's a great way to go about things. My only issue is, I think, and it's a personal thing, that I think the rule set should sort of back it up. Maybe even a short 10-minute time limit, because these 7 minutes is long for a high speed match.
Yeah, I think it probably only went that long with there being 3 competitors in it.
Yeah, so I think something like a time limit would definitely go a long way into helping emphasize why they're wrestling that way, other than like, it's got the high speed belt, so I'm going to wrestle fast.
Yeah. No, yeah, I'm completely with you here. even though Starlight Kid looked great in this match and Rio played a part, I know that you haven't been exactly enamored with her return. I think she's been great. I think she was really good here. It was all about Azumi here. I think it was telegraphed that Azumi was winning here. I don't know. She spent the bulk of the match in charge. She was the one being innovative. There was a wonderful moment where Rio was sat in the corner. Starlight Kid ran at it and Azumi just tripped her up so that Starlight Kid ended up drop kicking Rio in the corner. It looked amazing. I would argue that Azumi's got one of the nicest flying arm bars. Just absolutely amazing. Starlight Kid is proper pelting it at Riho, and she's cut off as Azumi goes for this flying armbar. I will fight to the grave to say that Starlight Kid has got the nicest standing moonsault. Just unbelievable. Just the rotation she gets, and Tall Sayers is really good as well. But whereas Starlight Kid, I'm never worried that Starlight is going to land on her neck, and I'm always worried about Tall Sire, and I don't know why. I don't know what it is. I really, really enjoyed this match. I thought just everything happened for a reason. I still think that Starlight Kid is the most improved wrestler of the year.
Yeah, she's getting a lot better. I think Saya got a lot better. I forgot to mention around the previous one where my biggest problem was Saya's offense looked weak. Her forearms are actually starting to look good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, everyone's improving, which is amazing because in New Japan everyone's regressing. But, I think in terms of Stardom, she definitely is the most improved. Maybe Saida, because I think Saida went from nothing to me to one of my underappreciated favorites very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, Azumi wins. She says she's not finished. She wants to be the high-speed only one, as well as going for other belts. And to be honest, I can see her going for other belts as well. I don't think she should be tied to the high-speed division. I gave this high 7, low 8. I gave it... In fact, you know what? Fuck it. No, I'm getting 8. I thought this was great.
I've gone 7. Nothing... This is one of those matches where everything went by in such a flash where nothing quite stuck with me. And that's just what high speed is, so I don't criticize it for it. But for me, there's a ceiling, and I think this 7 out of 10 is the style ceiling.
Fair enough. We then move on to our semi-main event of the evening for the Goddesses of Stardom title, the vacant Goddesses of Stardom championships, with Bea Priestley and Jamie Hayter being forced to relinquish them. Overall, obviously this was fought between the Queen's Quest team of Saya Kamitani and Utami and the Tokyo Cyber Squad team of Jungle and Konami. For me, in this match, the difference in Jungle Kiona was blatant. She was done. She was so somber throughout her promo. You look at the promo she cut at the start of the Osaka match. Full of joy, she's laughing with Konami. No, she is fucked off and she wants everyone to know about it. And by proxy, so was Konami. They both they wrestled in such a heel way in this match. They brutalized Saya. They absolutely ripped that girl's arms to absolute shreds. By the way, wonderful selling by Saya. The screams, I will move on in a moment to one thing that really pissed me off for the entire match. I genuinely think that we are going to see some sort of turn from Jungle, and this sort of plays into what has been announced at Yokohama, and I might as well say it now so that it plays into this match. There is a 6-man or a 6-woman between Oedo Tai and Tokyo Cyber Squad, with the stipulation that if Tokyo Cyber Squad lose, they are to disband. Mm-hmm. Now, with everything that has gone on with Hina and things like that, I think it makes sense to not get rid of Tokyo Cyber Squad, to disband Tokyo Cyber Squad and start afresh, because, there's always going to be that memory of Hina. There needs to be that memory of Hina, but Jungle Kiona and Konami need to wrestle as something else now. And it wouldn't surprise me if we get either a more heelish faction or potentially one of them joining a Ueda Tai.
Yeah, I'll go into that when we're talking about the new shows, but as regarding this match, you're right, TCS did absolutely brutalize Saya's arms. I thought the screams got a bit grating, like it was very believable, but also like there was a point where I just wanted them to stop her head so she'd shut up. But what did annoy me was after working over the arms,
this is the same thing that wound me up.
Like, first of all, I just want to say, I like how they took Utami out to focus on the rookie. That makes complete sense. And then she starts doing her fucking cartwheel backflip bollocks. And I'm like, you don't need to do it every match. Your arm doesn't work right now. Sell that.
Now, again, let's just put that into perspective for a moment. Saya Kamatani is still effectively a rookie, so she's got time to learn. Yeah. But you're putting the Goddesses of Stardom Championships on her. She needs to know. She needs to be able to adapt her moves. We waxed lyrical in the previous night. I know Mayu is completely different kettle of fish to Saya at the moment, but you've got to learn to adapt your moveset. It's not like Jungle and Konami had done one move to the arm. Konami had literally beaten the shit out of this arm, and Saya had done such a good job literally making it sound like it was physical torture for her, and then for her to do a backflip and a cartwheel into a dropkick, and he's like, no, you've taken me out of this match now completely. And it's a shame because the exchanges between Utami and Jungle, setting up for their 5-star match on the 8th, I think, it was absolutely fantastic. Just two Hosses doing Hoss things. But that moment, I didn't think that one moment could take me out of a match so much, and it really didn't. It's such a shame because the rest of the match was okay. I really loved Utami's, like, she got Konami in some manner of air raid crash submission, and then just thought, fuck it, and then just hit the air raid crash, which was great. I love the fact that they're teasing dissension between Jungle and Konami by Jungle hitting Konami with a lariat not once but twice. The first time you could think, oh, that might have just been a bit of miscommunication. But the second time, could have been an accident because they just got up too quickly. But that second one, glaringly obvious that was meant to happen. So, there's obviously something there, and that sort of plays into my theory that, we are on the final days of Tokyo Cyber Squad.
Yeah, maybe Jan will come back, which would be quite nice. But then again, I need to. But then again, I don't think Jungle would at all fit. I don't know. So
I think if you were going to take one of them to Ueda Tai, I think Konami would be a better fit.
Yeah, especially since they don't really have that technician like Kagetsu was anymore. And Kagetsu was fairly high on Konami.
Well, it's just I think she's very relentless in her offense. Like, she will just brutalize someone, as proved by this match. She was the main brutalizer. I think that would fit, and that would certainly add another dimension to Ueda Tai matches. I'd love to see a Natsu Samira and Konami team.
You sounded slightly German when you said
brutalizer.
Like I thought, have you seen Clerk? No, you haven't seen Clerk. That's Garth. But like the way they sing Berserk is great. Anyway, this match, yeah, like it's weird because like I don't want one moment to ruin a match for me, but like it kind of, this remind me of the Mark Quinn Cody match from AEW.
Yes.
But so Cody's working over Mark Quinn. Mark Quinn's like for the whole thing of when Mark Quinn starts doing fucking flips.
Yeah, you need to be able to adapt to a match situation, and I'm sure Saya will get there. I mean, we've praised Saya a lot, and this, it's a criticism, absolutely, but it's something that needs to be rectified. You can't just consistently do the same things.
Himeka, like we talked about, Himeka and Saya have like not an uncomparable amount of time in the ring, and Himeka managed to like recognize a botch before it happened and switch out of it. Like, it's small things like that separate like a good wrestler. Like, it separates like the Saki Kashimas from the Maves kind of thing. And like, it's just something you need to learn. And like, being with Utami, who's basically the best rookie of the last year, will probably help that. And like, being in the 5-star will probably help that. But yeah, it's so not stupid that like it's such a small thing can take you out, but it just does. It's like if after being thrown down, it's like if Luke Skywalker after having his arm cut off, managed to win that lightsaber fight.
Yeah. Eventually, obviously, Queen's Quest win with them hitting a magic killer randomly, and Utami in the bridging German suplex on Konami, 14 minutes and 28 seconds. Bless her, Sai just goes to pieces here. You know, it's her first championship. She's in floods, absolute floods. And Utami just, bless her, gives her this big hug. They're challenged post-match by Himeka and Maika. Which, you know, it'll be an interesting match. I look forward to that. I look forward to the Utami versus Himeka sort of that matchup.
Knock fucking pinballing off each other for 20.
It will literally just be beating the ever-loving shit out of each other. And I suppose that's another reason both teams needed to look strong coming out of that 8-woman in Nagoya. You know, you've got the two pairing off into the tag team championships.
No, I think that if one of them had pinned, say, Saya, that would give him a good reason to challenge. I don't know. And again, Himeka did pin Saya, but like if it didn't tag, actually, you know what I mean.
No, I know what you mean. We move on then to our main event, which was match 7, the Wonder of Stardom Championship Tournament Final, with Julia defeating Tam Nakano by referee's decision in 28 minutes and 27 seconds to win the vacant Wonder of Stardom title in what was a surprise to, I imagine, absolutely no one, Chris.
Especially me, since a Stardom group of men who says very, very vehemently before joining, no spoiling before it goes up on Stardom World, spoiled the result before it was up on Stardom World, which is great. I love when that happens. If you're someone who shares a result before it's available for the public to watch, you're a cunt, and there's a special place reserved in hell for you. Alongside the people who keep fucking sexualizing Azumi. She's 17, you weird cunts. Anyway, this match was surprisingly good. Because I got quite worried, so I heard about it back going in, and then I heard, I just stopped caring about spoilers for this show. Then I heard going in that this was going to be 28 minutes, and I, as you know, Rob, I have a very complicated history right now with very long matches because they're starting to not be good. And like that's why I like Stardom. It doesn't do that. But then again, on the other hand, I'm like, well, if we do this match right, it could be a nice little special thing, and then we can just not save it for another few months and then do another one in a few months. And like if it's an occasional thing, I'm fine with it. So like that's my sort of piece on the length of it is, as long as it's not a continuous thing, I'm fine with it. But this actual match was a 28-minute bomb fest. I don't think we ever stopped hurting each other. 5 minutes into this match, where the crowd would be outside, and then Tam hits a fucking German on the outside, and then Julia hits a Julia driver, because of course she does. And then I'm like, where's this going to go? And then we just didn't stop. We just didn't stop. And like German suplex off the top rope, because why not? Julia's getting a lot better at getting into the stealth Viper, because it used to be like really contrived, and now she can just do it.
I think, in all honesty, she's improving massively. I mean, and I know that I ragged on her when she first came, and I still stand by the fact that she deserved to be ragged on. But I will say that she's massively improved. And this match, you know, I know that she's in there with Tam, who's great, but Julia was brilliant in this match. You know, the two contrasting styles worked really, really well. You've got Tam brutalizing Julia's leg, and Julia sold it brilliantly. Another masterclass in selling.
She sold it brilliantly up until the last 10
Well,
minutes.
you say that. She did slip off the rope, and that was, you know, to sell the knee. Though she did try a big boot off the second rope, and I instantly thought of Sid.
She did slip off the rope, and she did do a little thing, but like I think like it was just sort of picked up and dropped near the end of this match, not like to a distracting degree, not to like Saya before doing that, because she didn't do it right but she did this about 5 minutes after Tam stopped targeting the leg, because Tam effectively did it for two reasons. One, to cut it down to her size, because there's an obvious height disparity, And secondly, same thing she did in the recent match, actually. Like, hold on to the leg for a submission, and when that didn't work, she tried a different strategy. So, yeah, like, it's not as egregious as it could be, but it still sort of brought the match down. Just, like, not a ton, just a little bit for me. Because, like, this ending stretch, like, oh my god, like, Tam kicks out everything. I don't think I've seen such a smooth transition into a Michinoku driver as Julia's catching Tam here. And yeah, just it was really good. I like all my fears of it feeling long in the tooth were swayed by the time it finished. Because by the time it finished, I was like invested despite knowing the result, which I think is a mark of a good match when you can like find things to love about it even when you're not in that moment.
There was a couple of things for me. We've seen a lot of crazy ass Tam, fucking mental Tam, and
standing on Saya.
Yeah, exactly. Just basically just being this absolute, proper bunny boiler, like crazy, like ree. But here she came in, she was calm, she was collected. It's almost like it was indicative of the pressure she felt carrying on the legacy of her best friend. And it was interesting to see the dichotomy between the disparity, not dichotomy, between Tam and the pressure she was obviously feeling from, the Arisa legacy. And then you've got Julia, who quite obviously and quite openly just wants the belt. There's a really, really good disparity there. And I love the fact that there is hatred there. There was a real hatred before and during this match, but it never just descended into a typical brawl. You never had the brawl into the crowd spot we get so often with just hate feuds or blood feuds. Instead, they were more concentrated on just causing as much fucking pain as possible. And Tam especially just absolutely brutalizing that right leg of Julia. We had Indian deathlocks. We had a wonderful moment where Tam goes for an arm bar and then transitions it instead into a knee bar. And it was wonderful. It's such a small, subtle thing, but it was like, right, well, I've been targeting the knee for ages. I'm going to fuck it up some more. So she did the armbar move and then just transitioned so smoothly. It was great. And Julia, for her, for all the praise I'm giving Tam, Julia was great in this match. The targeting and the neck of Tam was brilliant, ready for that glorious driver, or ready for the stealth viper, or ready for the move that eventually won it. She weakened and weakened and weakened and weakened that neck relentlessly before eventually Tam passed out in the submission, which, again, was great storytelling. The only way that could have been better was if Tam had won with a leg submission. That's the only way that story could have been rounded off any better. I'm not going to lie, Chris, I love this match. Not on the same level as Mayu and Jungle, which was by far and away the best match of this run. But this match in a bubble was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, again, my only real issue is the shaky selling from Julia at points, I felt. And also, I'm just worried because I don't want half an hour main events to become standard. And I'm worried with more time limit draws and then they're flirting with that. I want like half an hour main events in Stardom to be a rarity of like for example these two, they didn't descend into a brawl. This match was very clearly them trying to prove they were better than the other. This sort of thing, sure, have that be a half hour main event. If Jungle and May had went half an hour, it wouldn't have been as good.
No, but again, that sort of
as long as it doesn't, but because like I've sort of seen stuff like this creep in. Like in other companies, and I just don't want it to creep in on Stardom. It's my point. I'm wary, that's all.
Yeah, I don't think it will. We haven't had, you look at the Jungle and May match, that went 21 minutes. I think that's the perfect length of time. I still think main events, going that long are going to be a rarity. We didn't have that for, if you look at the last Korakuen show, the main event was 12 minutes.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. I hope it stays like that, because I can see that not happening. And like it's like if Bushiroad didn't own Stardom, that wouldn't be a fear I have. I don't know. Again, it's something I went into. It's something that's in the back of my mind that isn't like overwhelming me with a dislike, a distaste of a product or whatever. Because like again, I love this match, I thought this match was really good. And I'm not convinced by Julia, but I don't hate her anymore. Like, I'm not hating the idea of her having a run with this championship. I'm not hating the idea of her in the 5-star, which is an improvement from before, where she was beating Hazuki, and I'm like, who the fuck do you think? Who the fuck are you? Yeah, like, I think something to take out of the two title match main events from the 2 days was they were best when they sort of threw out the Stardom formula, like they sort of fucked with it. Like here, this was like your normal Stardom Bomb Fest, but it went about 10 minutes longer than other Stardom main events, and the one before where Maya was taking established Stardom spots and fucking with it to her advantage. I like that. I like that they're not so beholden to formula, because again, I think that's sort of what's alienated me and you from someone like New Japan, because like they try and follow formula at times to a fault. Like, and that's something I said about Stardom. Like, it's so simple that you can't really fuck it up. But like little things like this is what makes matches stick with you, and like because of that, these 2 matches will probably be in contention for a lot of people for match of the year, for Stardom at least, going at the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I gave it a low 9. I thought I enjoyed it that much. I really did.
I gave it a mid-8. And I'm not gonna lie and say some of it's probably is biased against Julia.
In that case, it gets a low 9. If you're going to just be biased because of the competitor,
but you've justified so many Tai Chi matches by going. You have literally said the phrase, "It would be a 9, but it's Tai Chi." I have heard you say that phrase.
Well, it's Tai Chi, isn't it?
There's proof of you saying that phrase.
We do get post-match, just before we move on to other things, Julia is saying that she finally understands Tam's need for the belt. Tam says that she'll chase her to the end of the universe to get it. They have a very small, begrudging high five of respect. And then Julia says that they can do it any time. And that, Chris, is a wonderful transition because they are actually doing it again.
It's one of the matches at the Yokohama show.
So, Yokohama Cinderella 2020, which will, again, be at the brand new Yokohama Budokan on August 22nd and 23rd.
It's just... I'm not quite sure of the timeline. Is this before or after the
This is in the middle of the 5-star.
Okay, that's weird.
It is very weird. No, I completely agree with you.
Because they're often locking the 5-star.
The first thing to point out is that the sort of ambassador of the Yokohama Cinderella 2020 show is Togi Makabe.
Yeah, I saw that. He looked
He looked confused, but also looked incredibly dapper in his really, really open white shirt and suit and chain.
Like, I'd kind of hope he could look good, but yeah, the chain was a choice.
It was absolutely a choice. So, again, 22nd and 23rd, the full cards have actually been announced. So on the 22nd of August, we have the following matches, Chris. Hanan and Itsuki Hoshino versus Hina and Rina. These shows will actually be Itsuki Hoshino's last matches for Stardom. Match 2 is Azumi versus Saya Ida. Match 3, and I believe, I might be wrong, but I believe this is the match that they have made the Tokyo Cyber Squad sort of the stipulation that Tokyo Cyber Squad will disband if they lose, with Jungle Kiona Konami and Death Yama-san taking on Natsuko Tora, Saki Kashima and Natsu Samiya. We've then got a Yokohama Cinderella Special 6-woman tag match as match 4 with Tam Nakano, Starlight Kid and Riho versus Mima Shimido, Yuna Manase and Super Strong Stardom Machine. So Saya Ida pulling double duty. She's is back. Push Super Strong Stardom Machine.
Is Captain Stardom on?
Unfortunately not, though. That should absolutely be a mixed tag. 100%.
Stardom and Captain Stardom and Super Stardom Machine for tag league.
Match 5, Future of Stardom title with Maika taking on Saya Kamatani. We've then got 2 special singles matches with Utami Hayashishita taking on Himeka. And then match 7, the semi-main, Momo Watanabe taking on Julia. And then the World of Stardom title match, Mayu Iwatani versus Sayuri. So before we go on to the next night, Chris, is there anything that jumps out at you?
This is an incredibly solid show. Incredible. This is a Korakuen show.
Oh yeah, it's a big show.
I'm hyped for this. Apart from, I'm scared that 6-man for TCS sounds like a fucking shit show.
I imagine a good way to get heat on Oedo is for them to cheat to break up Tokyo Cyber Squad, so maybe they'll do that.
Yeah.
Well, as long as Natsuko Tora doesn't win with that shitty splash onto the fucking chain, I don't care. Imagine if it ends in a really anticlimactic way, like Natsu Sumiya pins Death Yamasan after the Bronco Buster. Just imagine how anticlimactic that'd be. Oh, the scenes, the absolute scenes. So we then go on to night 2, which is the following night on the 23rd of August, and the following matches have been announced. So we open up match 1 with a 5-way match. Death Yamasan versus Ruaka versus Hanan versus Hina versus Fight. I don't know who Fight is, but Fight is apparently in this match. I assume we are going to find out who Fight is. It probably will be Saida, though she will be very unlucky if that's the case, because she is in the second match, Saida taking on Itsuki Hashino in what is going to be her last Stardom match. Match 3 is Riho versus Natsu Sumiya. The reason I wasn't sure as to whether it is on the 23rd or the 22nd in regard to TCS versus Oedo tags, because we've got another version of that. Here is the 4th match with Jungle Kyona and Konami taking on Natsuko Tora and Saki Kashima. So, not sure. We've then got a special singles match, Mayu Iwatani versus Momo Watanabe. Not for the title. Very important to note that. So, I can imagine Momo pinning Mayu and Momo getting a shot after that. Well, actually, we'll talk about that in a minute, because we'll talk about that in our 5-star Grand Prix preview. We've then got match 6, high-speed title, Azumi versus Starlight Kid. Yes, please. I think that's going to be absolutely outstanding. Semi-main, Goddesses of Stardom Championship title match, Utami Hayashishita and Sayaka Mitani, the champions, taking on the DDM team of Himika and Maika. And then finally, our main event is the Wonder of Stardom title rematch, Julia versus Tam Nakano. Anything that jumps out at you there, Chris?
But it's weird having Julia and Tam as a title match here, because they're also having a match in the 5 stars.
Are they in the same block in the 5-star?
Yeah, they're both.
Yes, they are both in Red Star. That does seem very strange. We're instantly going to be sick of this feud. It's not that. They've already proved that they can have a wonderful match. It's just, I think you could have had a lot better story with a potential redemption arc for Tam Nakano if she waits.
Maybe she loses twice here and goes on to win Cinderella.
I mean, I wouldn't be against Tam Nakano winning Cinderella.
Hire me, Rossi. I clearly know how to do
Though,
this.
to be fair, apparently winning Cinderella gets you the chance to be in the match, but that is it, because apparently Natsuko Tora can just invite herself, as can Konami, who had literally no claim.
I don't think... I think in the case of that, they didn't want to set precedent for Julia just wishing the championship onto herself, but also, yeah, why had Konami and Nat? Why?
Very, very strange.
Natsuko did have a claim. Natsuko was meant to be Arisa's last challenger and never got her
Of course
shot.
she was.
Konami on the other
Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Just like, what's up, guys?
I think we should make this a tournament. And everyone just went, yeah, all right.
She's Tetsuya Naito. She's just like, well, I have no real claim, but, here I am.
Very excited for Mayu versus Momo. Good things are going to happen there. Very excited for the high-speed title match between Azumi and Starlight. The Goddesses of Stardom title match can go, I'm sure that'll be great, but I'm sure there'll be better title matches. I go into there with not necessarily no expectation, but a lowered expectation. I look forward to the confrontation between Utami and Himeka.
What's the capacity of the Budokan? Like this one?
I'm sure that we looked at it. It's 3,000 seats capacity. But
one for social distancing.
Yeah, there's probably going to be 500 fans there. Oh,
Okay,
no, it doesn't. Sorry, ignore me completely. If it's a third capacity, which it's going to be 1,000 people, that's a big crowd for Stardom at the moment.
That's Korakuen. They're trying to pull a Korakuen weekender, basically. So yeah, it makes perfect sense that they're throwing everything at this if they're going for a weekender. Yeah. But is it actually in the middle of the 5-star? Is this at what? The 5-star ends on the 19th. Okay, no, so this is after the 5-star.
No, it's in the middle of the 5-star. Right. This actually leads into what I want to talk about. So the actual schedule.
Oh, the 5-star ends on the 19th of September. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It. Why? Sorry.
The schedule for the 5-star is as follows. So it runs from August 8th at Korakuen, finishing on September 19th at Korakuen, and these are your shows. So August 8th and August 9th at Korakuen Hall. August 15th at Osaka Edion Arena 2. August 29th in Nagata. Obviously, in between the 15th and 29th, we've got those 2 Yokohama shows. I imagine at the time of booking Yokohama, the 5-star was earlier or later, so I imagine they've just had to sort of pull things together in the wake of coronavirus. We then move on to August 30th at Takaoka, and then into September 5th at Shinkiba First Ring, September 6th at Sendai Pit. September 12th, we've got 2 shows, a day show in Fukuoka and a night show at Fukuoka, followed by September 13th in Fukuoka, and then the final on September 19th at Korakuen Hall.
I don't think I've ever heard you say Fukuoka before.
Fukuoka? Yeah, what's up with that?
That sounds like...
Are you laughing because it's got the word fuck in it? Are you being childish?
It sounds like it says Fukuoka.
You're such a child. For those who... honestly, you absolute muppet. For those who can't quite, I think we went through this very briefly at the end of the last podcast. For those who haven't seen the Twitter, the blocks are as follows. So the red stars, we have got Mayu, Iwatani, Julia, Tam Nakano, Konami, Starlight Kid, Seiya Kamitani, Death Yamasan, and Himeka. And then blue stars are Momo Watanabe, Utami Hayashishita, Jungle Kiona, Azumi, just those first 4 alone, Natsukatora, Saki Kashima, Sayuri, and Maika. So those...
You sound so deflated when you said...
No, it's because I'd run out of breath. So many things to talk about. So many.
Okay.
Go on.
In terms of like this, but it's not a bad block. I do question having the world of and the wonder of in the same block.
Well, on the opening night,
like, what does that lead?
On the opening night, August 8th, we have got in the red stars. We have this is opening night at Korakuen, August 8th. We have got Konami versus Saya Kamitani. We have got Death Yamasan versus Starlight Kid, Himeka versus Tam Nakano, and Mayu versus Julia. That's tasty. That's really interesting.
That is a nice. That's a nice recard, yeah. Again, I'm not saying the matches are bad, and there's quite it's like G1 28. It's like why have all the champions in one block? I understand Azumi's in one block, but in reality, the only people in a block going for high speed is Saki and maybe Maika.
Well, the opening night for Blue Stars sees Utami versus Jungle Kiona, Momo versus Maika, Natsuko Tora versus Sayuri, Azumi versus Saki. So that is all August 8th. Of all of those, Chris, of all the matches that I've just said, what sort of stands out to you as the matches to watch?
Jungle and Itami never don't deliver.
Yeah.
Always great. But like, I'm not gonna lie, the one I'm most looking forward to is Red Star. Like, Tam. I keep laughing because Red Star was the name of youth gang when I was in school, and even like, it's so weird. Like, they were a youth gang, but also they weren't very tough. So they had my school held an assembly to say, "Please stop bullying Red Star."
Amazing, absolutely amazing.
I know, right? It's a 15-minute time limit.
It's probably a good job because we've got 8 singles matches to go through.
Yeah. Like, what's the time limit? It's 15 minutes, isn't it? I'm trying to remember.
Yes, it's 15 minutes.
So like, I think Julia and May were definitely going to a draw.
Huh. It'll be interesting, certainly. Yeah, it's. I wouldn't be surprised if Julia beats Mayu. You've always got then that sort of looming Julia challenge if Mayu does retain post Yokohama and post 5-star. I think we've got, Momo versus Maika. I think that'll be great when there's stakes. Himika versus Tam. I think that'll be good. And I think that Konami versus Saya will be good as well.
Yeah, I think the Red Star has it for this one. I think another night like Jungle versus Momo rematch. Yeah, yes, please.
Well, August 9th.
I would never not do this.
August 9th, the card has been announced. Well, the card is up for August 9th. Red Stars, you've got Mayu Iwatani versus Starlight Kid, which, again, I'm here for all day. Himika versus Julia, and Konami versus Tam Nakano. That's a tasty couple of matches, that is. There's not a bad match of those 3.
Yeah. I don't think there's a bad match combination to be had.
Well, going on to Blue Stars then, from that day. Sorry, Chris. Utami versus Tora, Momo versus Azumi, Saki versus Maika, and Sayuri versus Jungle Kiona.
Ooh, that one's...
It really is, isn't it? There's a couple there.
I think something you need to keep in mind with the 5-star, it very rarely produces match. It's not like the G1 that produces match of the year after match of the year. This doesn't really do that because the restrictions sort of stop that from happening. But it's a very high quality tournament. Like, it never, like, even if the match isn't great, it's not long. So, like, you're not really bored watching it.
I think a shortened time limit will work for some. So, like obviously, August 9th, you've got Momo versus Azumi. In 50 minutes, they could produce an absolute fucking barn burner. Mayu versus Starlight Kid.
That's the thing. Like, from a match quality standpoint, it may not be as exciting, but from a booking standpoint, it makes it more wild. It means more can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, cause like, it's not exactly going to be realistic if, say, Starlight beats Mayu, but I think it is realistic for Starlight to hold Mayu to a 15-minute draw.
Couple more interesting matches for me. So Red Stars, just looking at the dates of the matches, Mayu versus Tam Nakano is the 19th of September. That's one to look out for, definitely. Starlight Kid versus Konami is, where am I looking now? That is the 30th of August. I think that could be a really, really interesting match. Julia versus Konami, that rematch is the 29th of August. And then looking at Blue Block, I think the match that I'm most looking forward to, out of this block is Momo versus Utami, and that's on the 15th of August. That final day, the 19th of September, you have got Mayu versus Tam and Jungle versus Momo.
I think that's indicative of who might win. And I can't remember much of the 5-star last year. If I'm honest, I didn't watch all of the 5-star last year because it was right after the G1. And I was so burnt out on tournaments. So this year I had the opposite of that problem. So I don't know. And that might be indicative of who's going to win.
Yeah, definitely. Looking at some of Suri's run-in, she's got Momo on the 6th of September, Utami on the final day. Fucking hell, what a final day that's going to be. Jesus. Looking at some other ones, we've got Jungle and Azumi is the 29th of August. That's going to be great. Yeah, there's some really, really interesting dynamics heading through this. I'm going to ask you now, Chris, as of the 3rd of August, who do you have to win well, let's say who tops but each block for you?
I'm not quite sure. I don't think Julia's going to, because like my initial thing would be Julia versus Tam, but they're in different blocks. Honestly, I think it's going to come between Jungle Momo in blue and Julia Mayu in red.
Okay, yeah. So who do you have going over?
I don't think that'd be Jungle, because I think she might be turning.
Yes. For me, I don't. I think it'll be between Tam Nakano and Julia, and I think Tam will pip it on the final day. So who's Julia got on the final day? Julia's got Death Yama-san on the final day.
That's a very easy one.
I don't think it is. I think that's a Tori Yano.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Death Yama-san's a wild card because like if she's gonna pin you, she's gonna pin you.
So who has Tam Nakano got on the final night? She's not wrestling.
Mayu.
Oh no, she is. She's got Mayu. So I think Tam could beat Mayu, and Tam could top the group.
But you're in numbered block. Why would someone?
No, I don't know why. I don't know why. Konami's got Himika on the final night. Oh, do you know what? I'm not gonna go Jungle, just because you have. Oh no, because this whole Jungle thing was completely thrown out my booking of the whole redemption arc of Jungle.
Like, it almost completely comes down to what happens in the TCS.
It really does, because if Tokyo Cyber Squad had disbanded, I genuinely think.
Who does Jungle?
Oh Jesus!
Who does Jungle have in the last?
Jungle has Momo on the final night.
Here, okay, so here's another reason why I think Jungle might go over, because Jungle pinning Momo on her way in a redemption arc is kind of necessary.
So you think Jungle tops the block with Momo in second?
Yes. And I think it's going to be like a draw going in. Like, we're going to have the same amount of points. So, like, whoever wins this wins.
Yeah, I think Utami will beat Jungle. And I think someone like Natsukatora will beat Momo. And then Jungle will beat Momo on the final night.
Maybe. It's all up, like, it's weird because, like, so many important booking things are happening at those Budokan shows that we literally can't make a fair prediction until they've been about halfway through the fucking 5-star.
I would argue that the Blue Star is so much harder to call than the Red Star because effectively you've got 4 people that could win that block. You've got Momo, you've got Utami, you've got Jungle, you've got Suri, and they are legitimate contenders. Whereas Red Star, I think you've got. I do think Julia is in with a shot. I don't think Mayu tops the block. She's champion. I don't think the champion will go through. That's just me personally. Konami, is she going to go through top of the block twice in 2 years? Probably not. Which means that you've got Tam and Julia.
Yeah, I think that's how we want it.
Which I think Tam will go through. I think Tam blocks tops Red Stars.
Maybe. I think also, like, if you've gone through a jungle redemption thing, pinning Julia might be a good one too. Just for two reasons. One, Julia beat Jungle in the Cinderella, and two, for Julia was Hannah's tag team partner of the Tokyo Dome and not Jungle.
Yeah, they haven't really played on that story. I wonder if I imagine anything Hannah-based will be steered away from at the moment.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think they'd have steered more towards that angle if what happened didn't happen.
Yeah, 100%. It's crazy, but we haven't even entertained the possibility of Utami topping the block.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think most people in this, you can come across and say, if they win, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, It's set up to be very, very, very interesting. It's going to be an absolute nightmare to cover as a podcast because...
Yeah, we need to know how we're doing that. Hang on, there's a break in the schedule.
There is a break in the schedule, and hopefully... There are several breaks in the schedule. It's actually been very kind to us, but it'll just be how quickly they upload the matches will be how quickly we can get podcasts out.
On that basis, last year's was a bit of a nightmare because you were uploading other shows before certain shows finished, and it's sort of like, can you please just focus on getting one up? They're getting better at that, to be fair. Like, they'll prioritize title matches, but otherwise they're going sequentially.
Well, fingers crossed. Obviously, me and Chris will talk later, and we'll put it on Twitter, so keep an eye out on Twitter as to what will be our recording schedule, our very loose recording schedule, because again, our recording schedule, especially for 5-star, will be very, very much dependent on when Stardom upload the matches. So you might have to bear with us slightly.
You think they have them in blocks, like we have that on the 8th, the 9th, and the 15th, so we can focus on getting them up on the 29th and 30th, so we can focus on getting those ones up, and then like 5th and 6th, get them up 12th. 13th, get them up. 19th.
Seems to be 2 days week off, doesn't it?
Maybe that. Yeah, which, to be fair, I'd rather they do that than kill.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Chris, your definitive winner of the 5-star Grand Prix 2020 is...
If I say Def Yama,
yes, I will
kill me.
I'll find a new co-host. Who do you have?
Garth. You got it,
Go on, who have you got?
Jungle. I'm never not going to pick Jungle. I say that. I think closer to the time we'll actually do a bracket. Like, I'll probably fill up a bracket just because I'll be bored. There's nothing else to do with my time right now. But yeah, I want Jungle. Just because I want Jungle to win, I'm going to say Jungle.
It's very interesting that Jungle has Momo on the last night.
To be fair, I did correctly predict Hina last time. So
I can't go for the same one as you, so...
You can.
If it hadn't have already been... If we hadn't have had all these little teases for Jungle, she hadn't been such through this highs and lows, we hadn't had this stuff with TCS and Oida Tai, I wouldn't have... Jungle would have just been... she'd have been second, she'd have missed out just now, would have gone Momo all the way because it's just built for a Momo versus Mayu match. But
now they haven't.
Yeah, they seem to be spaffing that up the wall, a special singles match.
I think Momo's going to pin Mayu because when you look at who's in her block, it's a lot of the people who could pin her and have like a filler tower defense like Starlight and Tam, they're either in stars like them, not contenders like Himika, Def Yama-san, and Saya, or Julia, who already had a championship. So I think they're doing that just so... Because the only person in her block who can believably pin her and go on to challenge her is Konami. So I think they're doing that just so Momo can pin Mayu, and then that sets up the 2 challenges before whoever wins the 5-star faces Mayu.
Do you know what? I am going to go Jungle. I think everything that we've seen over those 3 shows points to the fact that there are big things in store for Jungle. So Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I'd say Momo pins Mayu at Yokohama. I think of the people in Red Block, you look at who can pin Mayu, I'd argue the only two, as you've already said, are Konami and Julia. Julia already has a championship, so I'd be very surprised if that materializes. So Konami will get the win over Mayu. I think Tam will beat Mayu as well on the final night, and I think it'll be a Jungle versus Tam final.
Yeah. Faction versus faction happens more in Stardom than it doesn't say New Japan. So if Tam pins Mayu, it's not a realms of possibility that her and Mayu will have another match, but I think Tam will be pretty laser focused on Julia.
Yeah, I see Tam getting redemption over Julia, and I see her winning that block, and I see Jungle beating Tam on that final night then.
Or maybe Tam beats Julia, which feeds Julia up to feed with Mayu. God, I'm not sure if having that Budokan in the middle of the 5-star is a mess or a struggle.
We will find out. Right, I say we leave it there, Chris, as we ascend onto 2 hours of the podcast. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. We really do appreciate it. We're sorry this episode was a little bit later up. It was 100% my fault. We will look at how we're going to upload reviews in regard to the 5-star Grand Prix, because obviously there are going to be more episodes this month because of the 5-star. So again, as I've already stated, it'll depend very much on the uploading schedule. But in the meantime, thank you so much for listening. You can, of course, subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, wherever you get them. Please go give us a subscribe. A 5-star rating and review would be fantastic. It would do wonders for the podcast. Check out the website www.podmania.co.uk/the Stardom Cast. Join our Discord. It's in our Twitter feed. We'll send out a new thing as well. It will also be in the description of our podcast. You can find the podcast on Twitter at the Stardom Cast. You can find me on Twitter at RealRobGoodwin. Chris, where can they find you on Twitter?
At Hulk Hogan.
Okay, and we'll see you guys again soon.